Hello everyone, it's Davide here and welcome back to Learning Finance. In today's video guys, let's finish the Alibaba stock saga that we have been following during this weekend. After basically on Saturday in China they released the record fine 2.8 billion antitrust to Alibaba. I made a video on Saturday. I told you that even though media was showing this as a negative news, in my opinion it was one of the best news that we had for Alibaba, and it turns out that I was right. The stock today is up 9% almost. So that's obviously good to see, okay, after bad periods and frustrating moments if you are invested in Alibaba stocks. Can this be a new beginning? Or not. So in today's video guys, let's take a look at the graph, where we are at, actually what kind of issues we can have going on, what are the key levels. And also I want to show you this, which actually came out this morning, talking about Ant Group IPO, and if the IPO will happen again, what are the circumstances. So the only thing I ask you guys as always is please leave me another like, it's very important and I thank you for it, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any new updates. Let's begin. Alright guys, so let's start with the graph. On Saturday we were right here. I told you that I was expecting on Monday a positive reopen for Alibaba. That's interesting because overall all the market is red. The market has the fear of inflation. Now they are coming earnings, so the market is getting strange, right? We all know that with the economies reopening, fear of inflation. We have seen the CPI data last week that were not great, right? 1% month after month, that's huge. But we have to figure it out whether that is short-term or long-term inflation. We have to figure out how, actually, because has never happened before in our history to put all that money in the market in just a short amount of time. So I made videos about that before. I told you that in my opinion that period, like we have seen in the second half of 2020, where basically stocks were going up 3% every single day and everyone was a genius, right? I told you that in my opinion that period has been a dream, but now it's not gonna be like that going on in the future, okay? I expect to see the old boring stock market where the best companies are moving up and the worst companies are actually losing percentages in price. That's how it should be. It's not healthy to see a stock market going to the moon like we have seen in 2020, where even bad companies are going up there. Anyway, for Alibaba, we can see that the market has opened with a gap 237. Now it's pointing up. Now it passed, at the moment we passed the 240 level that I told you in previous video over there. But the price, it is having to a fight, right, with the 50 moving average over there. Now here I showed you the downtrend line, okay, at this moment, which is trapping Alibaba price from the top of October, basically over there in February, and we can see that this area over there, it is very important in terms of resistance. So we have the moving average at 50, we have the downtrend line which is crossing with the strong resistance at 250, 1, 2, 3, 4 times, right? It stopped the price over the last few months, and then we have also the 200 moving average over there. So this range here is a very strong resistance for Alibaba stock price. We will see going on in the future whether the price is strong enough to actually break above that, possibly target the 270 area. But I told you that fundamentally I see the fair price around 337, okay, at least for Alibaba. So can this be a new beginning? Obviously, the problems above Alibaba are not ended yet. But I told you how the fine, actually, if it was showing the end of the probe, at least, it should have lifted some pressure from Alibaba. Because on Alibaba, we had the probe, we had the delisting, which is still there, And we had Ant Group IPO, which was cancelled, and now we are seeing that they need to do a restructuring of the business. So according to this article, actually, Ant Group is not going to be that crazy fintech over leverage business anymore. Is to restructure as a financial holding company, China's central bank said on Monday, and has formed a comprehensive and feasible restructuring plan at the urging of financial regulators, the People's Bank of China said. Clearly, we have that Alibaba, they have to sort of restructure their business, okay? They have to avoid the choose to one practice that they were doing before. They have to file for 3 years in a row as requested by the SAMR. Probably, if they complete successfully under the regulations the restructuring of Ant Group, probably they can do the IPO. Now, obviously, guys, if they do that, I do not expect Ant Group to make as much money as they were making before. Now, this is an issue that is not only in China. I don't know if you have read or if you have heard about Jamie Dimon from JP Morgan talking about the fintech in the US. Basically, in his letter, he points how the fintech business, as of now, they have a competitive advantage due to regulations. Because after 2008, banks in the United States have been heavily regulated, while this new sector, fintech, is actually like bank they were before 2008. And this was mainly the difference between Ant Group and Chinese banks, and why Ant Group was actually beating all of them in terms of revenues and market share because of regulations. Now, the Chinese government already came to that conclusion and they ruled out Ant Group. They say now they want a restructuring. It has to be a financial holding company. So they came to that conclusion. Now, I am wondering what will happen in the US. So will the government continue to see fintech as something that it doesn't need to be regulated as much as banks, or as fintechs continues to move forward, they will change that mentality? So here you have the two opinions, right? In the US, it's still as completely free. In China, has been heavily regulated, as it seems, most of all because banks are not public there, but are mostly owned by the government, okay? So it's their interest to actually remain competitive. But anyway, for Alibaba, at least we had a nice Monday. This, if the price continues to remain above those levels, it closed above 240. We will see. Actually, it's an interesting week for China because we have data on the economy, we have data on exports, okay? So we are gonna obviously take a look at that. Also, inflation in China took off last week, as well as in the US. But we have seen previous investors actually buying Alibaba. Charlie Munger, probably the biggest one of them, 37 million invested. From the last JP Morgan's outlook, they made a graph with the global stock market performance, which is in purple, and then in gray you have the US outperformance. And you see how since 71 you have this kind of exchanging, right, between the global market and the US outperformance. So we see how overall there have been periods of US outperforming and periods of the rest of the world outperforming. And now the last one here, it shows pretty clearly 217% outperformance in 13 years of the US market. Now will this exchange happen again going on in the future? Something like Ray Dalio said, try to look in Asia, try to look in India, try to look in these kind of different markets because they will perform better going on in the future. I don't know, but it's something that can definitely happen. Here, very interestingly, they show how the growth of people into the middle class from 2020 to 2030 in the world. Okay, so we see Europe, actually people are gonna lose the middle class status according to the forecasts. North America, very low, 10 million, 32 Central and South America. But look at Asia Pacific, right? Look at that. India, 883 million people. China, 453 million people. Rest of Asia, another 133 million people. So here we are above the billion people joining the middle class from 2020 to 2030 in that part of the world. And that's why I have been watching opportunities over there, because if that happens for real, guys, if they are able to put their stock markets in a more efficient way, right, to try to be more transparent and all this kind of stuff, obviously that's an opportunity. But you cannot deny that. That's why actually I decided to put a part of my portfolio into Chinese stocks. I will continue to look for opportunities. I will try to see what will come around. But anyway, as of now, I think that that's a positive sign for Alibaba. The market took it positively. And yeah, maybe this can be a double bottom, as I told you in the previous video. We need the confirmation, right? We need to break this downtrend. Very interesting and important level are above us. So it will not be an easy ride, but at least this is a positive beginning, I would say. So I hope you find the video interesting, guys. Leave me down a comment with what do you think. Leave me a like if you want, subscribe to the channel, and as always, guys, have a wonderful day.